If you're one to minimize, reduce, and overall just take away the joys and feelings of accomplishing something, feeling in some way you don't deserve it, I completely relate. I've been one to sabotage my own success multiple times. I've probably done every form of sabotage. I don't know why, but I did. So I put all of them on and I hated all of them. So I had to find my way out and figure out a process on how to eliminate this sort of experience, or at least adapt to it. And picked up a lot of things along the way, developed myself my own process. And now that I coach people, I'm having more and more experience with other people's lives and the forms of sabotage they experience in regards to minimizing their own success. It probably goes a little bit something like this. Let's imagine you are working on a project at work, or you are entering a marathon. You finish the marathon or you complete the project and it's actually very good. You get complimented for it. But as the compliments start to land, you start to feel almost like a disgust response to it, a cringy effect that then later on you quickly want to just devalue it. And the way you devalue could be in many ways. One of the most common ways is in comparison. We'll always compare that, well, okay, fine, I did X, Y, and Z, but in comparison to this person, whether that be online or someone you know, doing 10 times my volume, well, it just minimizes what I've done. It doesn't really mean anything anymore. This was something that I've done to myself for competing. When I was a competitor in jiu-jitsu, I did very well, but every time I win, every time I would earn a medal, if it wasn't of a particular standard, then in my mind, it would be casted away as not good enough. I had to achieve something bigger than that. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks. There's a part of you, within you, that wants to feel proud of what you've done. There's so much effort you put into it, but yet this other part of you wants to take it away, and there's this conflict and anger within yourself that festers, and it can oftentimes get very overwhelming. This experience, I like to think of it as a happiness ceiling. You give yourself a limit. If happiness and joy and pride and self-esteem hits a particular level and it surpasses it, it's time to cut the pipe. Turn it off, shut it off. I don't want to deal with it anymore. No, it's time to just forget and move on and go to the next thing. From my experience, from personal and now coaching others, this is fundamentally an issue with self-worth and the value that you believe you have. And it's of low value. And because there's this feeling of low value, then we have to raise the bar. There's a certain level that we need to hit in order to actually feel good about what we've done. And if it's never hitting that spot, it'll never feel good. But what's even worse than that is that the standard set is always way far and beyond your capabilities of today. And so the sabotage is that you never actually hit that standard. You'll never reach it. And so, of course, as you don't reach it, you feel low, and so on and so forth. You can go on like this for years. Now, I'm going to say something that's not really conventional. It is not all bad. It isn't. Because let's imagine that you want to keep raising the standard. Then the quality of your work is getting better. It is. You're getting sharper, you're getting cleaner, you're getting more effective. The only thing that hasn't been coming up, that hasn't been following you along on this journey, is the deeper relationship with yourself. The relationship with yourself that gives you the credit to say, regardless how much farther we have to go, for who we are, we're doing a pretty good job. And, we all heard the saying, comparison is the thief of joy. I'm pretty sure I butchered it, but it's somewhere along those lines. And comparison, especially in the modern world, it is so potent and so abundant that it's very difficult to ignore. You can open up Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and The algorithm will eventually pump in front of you individuals who achieve success within 30 days and they hit their dream or they become city mayor or whatever it is, something that you feel you want to achieve and you want to have. And immediately that comparison sits in, you start evaluating what you've done, and it's nothing in comparison, which then leaves you in this bad cycle. So the world around you is also affecting this type of behavior. Reducing that consumption will make a difference. Absolutely will make a difference. Have some time alone with yourself and truthfully, bluntly say, what I have done, what I have built so far, can we sit and give ourselves credit? And if you can't do it, at least try to do it. Now, the process and how you do it and the steps and sequences, that's a whole other ballgame. It'd be too long to break down here. I have a free guide down below if you actually want to get a little bit more detail on my process of managing self-sabotage and overcoming it. But to put it simply, there needs to be a level of endurance to be built. We need to be able to contend with what we're feeling, and we need to know the process and how to manage them, evaluate them, and be able to, over time, build a bigger muscle. I call the spiritual muscle. The stories that live within us, and for those that aren't familiar, stories are, you've always felt that you've had a low self-worth for whatever reason. It could be something about your dynamic growing up that it caused you to believe this about yourself. But as time's gone on, that story hasn't left. It just sits in the unconscious world where you don't really see it, but you physically feel it. That's why often, when I have my sessions, my clients will say, I know what was happening. I understand I was caught in my sabotage loop, but I physically couldn't stop it. I physically felt the reaction of it. When a story's been sitting with you for a very long time, you can rationally know what you're doing, but it sits somatically in your body and it completely hijacks you. And to dissolve that takes accountability, takes a process, but it is absolutely possible. And it is these deeper stories that grip us in these sabotaging patterns, because fundamentally, self-sabotage is stemming from a feeling of inferiority, low self-worth, low value, the feeling you don't deserve enough or you're not enough. Any direction you go, you trip yourself. You start to move in a direction that will garner you more money or career progression, but then the fear of failure will cripple you. Or you'll go in a different direction and the fear of success will cripple you, or the fear of rejection. There is always some deeper narrative that is at play, and any direction you decide to go, it will interfere, force its hand, cause you to blunder. And I hope you understand when I say this, the two parts of you, well, there's multiple aspects of you, but I don't want to sound like a crazy person right now, but the aspect of you that does the sabotaging, that influences it, micro-personality is what I like to call it. You can almost feel both the presence of the part of you that is interrupting what you're doing and the other part of you that is craving for that to stop, that sees what's happening and you want it to end. Give yourself that grace. Give yourself the patience to experience. Allow yourself the time. Make some time for yourself. Go over what you're doing, review it. And whether you think it's big or not, congratulate yourself. It really goes a long way. Because the last thing you want to do, and I've run through this thought experiment, the last thing you want to do is live out your whole life. Now you're in your 70s, 80s, and 90s, and feel that you have never done anything. Or worse, and this was a concern of mine that led me partly to challenge these beliefs. What if I look back and say, I could have enjoyed my life more? I could have been more confident. I've done a lot. I could have carried myself with that. That's something I've reflected on a lot. During my competition career, I always felt inferior. I always felt less than in comparison to the other competitors I go with and I compete with. And it's, of course, in hindsight that I look back And I think I was very good. I was multiple time provincial champion. I've competed for Team Canada, taking third place at the World Championships. I wasn't nothing. Had I had the guidance then with someone who understood self-sabotage and how it manifests, perhaps I could have enjoyed that process more. Perhaps I could have compounded my growth. Instead of self-sabotaging in a downward momentum loop, perhaps I could have changed it. Who knows what I could have been? But of course, hindsight, you don't want to ruminate too much on it. But a healthy dose is good because then it allows you to look forward into the future and make some changes. But I wanted to share that with you as a final thing. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and I will see you on the next episode.